Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. You know, the 28th of February 2023, it was a bad day for the Russians. And it was a bad day for the Russians because the Ukrainian drones swarmed all over Russia, from St. Petersburg to Sochi in the Black Sea and in Azov Sea and all over deep inside Russia. I'm not talking about the front. No. And it was not a good sign that Russia is really unprepared. But hey, maybe those drones just were launched from or taken up in the vicinity of the towns. They didn't have to come from Ukraine, which would have been at least 200-300 kilometers or miles away from the front. Now we find out that actually more than those drones in St. Petersburg and the ones that I mentioned occurred, but about 10 tried to attack Crimea. I read an article yesterday about it, but I think it was yesterday or this morning. It doesn't matter, but I said, let's see if I get more information. Right now I have a confirmation that actually they were attacked by drones. And the Russian Defense Ministry reported that 10 drones attacked Crimea. This is per Ukrainska Pravda, and it is from March 1st, 2023. So, the Russian Ministry of Defense has said that on March 1st, Crimea was ostensibly attacked by 10 Ukrainian drones and all of them were shot down. I don't believe that, but anyway. This is Crimea right here, and if you want to look at it in the context of Ukraine, this is where the war is, where you see all these colored bullets, and the Crimean Peninsula is right here in the north of the Black Sea. This is the Black Sea, this is Romania here. All right, so the drones hit somewhere right here where my little hand is. Okay, one of them was right here by Sochi. There were some north in the St. Petersburg, and now they say there were about 10 drones attacking this area here. So in order to get here or here, down here, south by Sochi, it was about, 10 miles, 15 miles north of Sochi here, and it was one by Krasnodar, and it was here on the Azov Sea, right here at the military airfield, and the one in St. Petersburg north, by the Baltic Sea. Well, that means they do whatever they really want. Over there in the St. Petersburg, they're going to talk about this in this article down here somewhere. So let's read this one. Quote from Igor Konashenkov, the official representative of the Russian Ministry of Defense. And I'm quoting, "We prevented an attempt by the Kiev regime to carry out a massive drone attack on the Crimean Peninsula targets. 6 Ukrainian combat drones were shot down by anti-aircraft missiles. 4 more were disabled by radio-electronic warfare systems." He also claimed that there are no alleged victims or destruction as a result of the attack. Background. On the afternoon of February 28th, it was reported that a drone had crashed in Moscow Oblast. I forgot about that one. Southeast of Moscow, about 15 miles southeast. Near Kolomna, not far from a facility owned by Gazprom, Russia's state energy monopolist. Later, Russian media wrote that the members of the Federal Security Services of Russia, FSB, found explosives inside the drone that fell in Moscow Oblast on February 28th. Later that day, an unidentified aircraft crashed in Adygea in the southern federal district of Russia. In addition, on the night of 27 to 28 February, explosions rocked the Russian city of Tuapse, that's the one down there where I showed you by Sochi, in Krasnodar Krai, followed by a fire at a Rosneft oil refinery. News outlets reported it was an attack of US Vs, so that was right here. There's in Krasnodar right here, one and one right here that these guys are talking about, and they're going to talk about this one maybe. All right, and then it says on February 28, 200 square kilometers of the airspace were close to the Russian city of St. Petersburg, and the local Pulkovo airport stopped accepting planes for landing after an unidentified flying object was detected over the city. Later, the Russian Ministry of Defense reported that the airspace over St. Petersburg had been closed because they were conducting air defense training. Really. And the traffic, the commercial traffic, were just going in circles, right? Mikhailo Podolyak, not a very smart guy, gotta tell you that. That's my assessment of this individual. I mean, advisor to the head of the office of the President of Ukraine, responding to the Russians' accusations of Ukraine allegedly striking Russian regions with UAVs, stated that Ukraine's armed forces did not carry out attacks on the territory of Russia. Well, then who? The Americans? The Brits? The Germans? The French? So who did it then? Or it was I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to cause panic. And they try to, make the Russians question themselves. That means, get them not be that united as it seems they are around their corrupt, criminal, all the words, regime from Moscow, from Kremlin, right? Because that's how you do. As I always say, psychologically, the being afraid of the threat of the unknown is the most scary thought. More than the one that you tell, hey, over there is going to be like, I don't know, a monster. You can get, kind of prepared. But you tell, I don't know what's going to be in that room. It's going to be something very bad, but I don't know exactly what. I can't tell you. Then your imagination is at play. The same with these guys. Well, it was not the Ukrainians. Then whom? And makes you think it was their neighbor. Let me report the suspicious over there. Let me do this. You close your little bubble. You close over there, and you start being paranoid. And then it makes you think, okay, are there other Russians that are disagreeing with Putin? Let me look for them. Maybe I'm going to join them. Things like this. I think, it's really it's a partisan movement here. So it's not everybody with Putin, 80% as they say. They're lying because they're the bad dudes. The good dudes are the ones that want to in our butts by taking us our resources and nuclear weapons and all that. Those are the good guys, and making, legal this, legal that, and a lot of freedom and liberty. Yeah, like in the 1990s. You remember those ones, my fellow Russians? And I'm pretty sure if you remember those, that means you're not doing too well, because the ones who grabbed your country and got to be billionaires very fast, like they did in Romania too. I know how the scheme worked. That's why when these guys are saying, well, we won the Cold War. Yeah, you won the Cold War, but you don't say the whole story. But the whole story, it comes little by little, little by little. And maybe one day it's going to be politically correct, but you can't really change certain kind of national, how should I put, national heroes. Like, for instance, how when I came to the United States of America, I found out that actually JFK won the confrontation with Khrushchev. And I was like, okay, let me hear the story. And yes, they told the story, but the story did not have the beginning and did not have the ending. So they picked and choose in between. They didn't have the beginning, why and what happened, and didn't have the result, the consequence of the, here everybody's happy. Yeah, Kennedy looked in Khrushchev's eyes and stared in his eyes, and Khrushchev blinked like a, I'm still a virgin. Yeah, that's how it worked. Yeah, they don't tell you about the Jupiter nuclear weapons in Turkey or Italy. Yeah, and they don't talk about Vienna meetings. They don't talk about what Khrushchev told these young men and said, take your weapons, otherwise we're going to fuck you up. And he said, how are you going to do it? Well, we're going to see. And then he started moving things so the guys can see it. Oh yeah, he had weapons in Cuba. He had nuclear weapons in Cuba. There were no nuclear weapons in Cuba. But hey, again, the story goes, he had. And then JFK made Khrushchev take his nuclear weapons, missiles out of Cuba. There were no missiles over there. There were no nuclear weapons yet. He kept them out. The people can see them. The U-2. Oh, well, what is that? Zoom. Those look like missiles because the Russians were so dumb. Anyway, it was. And then what happened? The confrontation, and then Khrushchev, you take your missiles, I take mine. Okay, That's what JFK said. And it's okay, I'm not going to continue building stuff in Cuba, and you take your Jupiters out of Italy and Turkey in 6 months. Done deal. So actually, Khrushchev made JFK take his missiles that he had a problem at the beginning. Why? By doing the same thing. So who won? We won because these idiots did not blow us up. But in the end, between the two, Khrushchev made Soviet Union made the United States do what they said. Take your missiles out of nuclear missiles, not just the tubes and lily pads over there for no. The whole thing. And they did. So who won? Yeah, he blinked. So anyway, the same here. They give us just this and this. Yeah, that's these partisans. Yes, there's these people that are, the chronology of events is very important. And you have to go and take the beginning as far as you find those facts being relevant. And don't, I discard this one, I don't like this one, this works against my narrative. No. You want to find the truth or you want to be right? If you want to be right, then discard things, pick and choose. This is from here, I ignore this, I take this, and then the narrative is perfect. The Russians attacked Ukraine unprovoked, and they are the devils, and we're the good people, and we got to stop that crazy madman Putin that somehow doesn't use nuclear weapons, but he's losing since he started, and all these things, Anyway, but what do you expect? All this narrative is not for you and I. That narrative is for them. For the people below 86 IQ, because they vote. And if they go and vote, and they're promised things. And if you promise things for free, taken from that guy to you, under the equity little bullshit, equity, inclusion, and diversity, then yeah, you're going to vote for these guys. And I'm not going to go further with that. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Because the other one was rude. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.